Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the palatial studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Irvine, California. Joining me from a more than acceptable safe social distance through the miracle of telephony is my guest for today, Terri Jay, the shaman cowgirl. Welcome, Terri.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. It's Cowgirl Shaman too.
Cowgirl Shaman. That's how it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No, no worries.
So, wow. So there's a lot to explain in that, I'm sure. But well, let's start with that. What does cowgirl shaman mean?
Well, I take that as my branding because I've been a horse person my whole life. And in 1990, when I realized I had these unique abilities, I just sort of put all of the abilities that I have and all of the services that I do. A shaman is basically a healer who also can connect to the other realms. So I think it describes it
Okay,
perfectly.
that definitely puts it all together. Um, and let's see, yeah, learning. Let's see, in the thing the thing you sent, your little preview, said you learned to communicate with horses.
Yeah, that's really how I got my start. I mean, truthfully, I heard a nonverbal child in my horseback therapy program
Okay.
speak to me. Then, when I had that confirmed, the suggestion was made to learn to communicate with the horses because all animals are
Oh.
telepathic. And I was like a naive idiot. I went, okay, I'm going to do that. And so I started doing animal communication. I was married at the time to a very gifted horse trainer. And so we always had problem horses coming on the property. And once I felt confident, then I started offering it for other people. And of course, I do all animals. And now I know there's no limits to the types of information that you can discern from the universe.
Okay. Where are you located?
I'm in Minden,
Okay.
Nevada. I'm one valley east of Lake Tahoe,
Oh, okay.
beautiful Lake Tahoe. But I do my readings by phone all over the
Wow.
world. I think 2 weeks ago I was doing them in
Okay.
Australia, so it's really fun.
That's interesting. How does that work? That you can do it over the phone? What?
Well, I base my practice in
Okay.
physics, Bill, and so I know that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And so I know that all I have to do is give my clients unconditional love, which is the most powerful energy in the universe. And then once they start talking about either themselves or their animals, then I get a direct connection, like almost like an electric connection to them or their animals. And when they start asking me questions, I can feel or sense the animals through them.
Okay. Interesting. Um. So you base everything in physics, and yeah. You said that everybody has these intuitive abilities.
Yes, and this is really um, kind of a hot button for me. When somebody says they have gifts or they're special, I just think, right, because everybody's born with 10
Hmm.
senses. We have the five physical senses, and then we have five spiritual or energetic senses. And those are intuition, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and claircognizance. And clair just means
Okay.
clear. So clairsentience is clear feeling, and that can either be physical or emotions. We have clairaudience, think auditory, and that's clear hearing when we can hear our guides or hear people or animals on the other side or hear. And then we have claircognizance, which is clear knowing. That's when you get those, lightning bolts into your brain where you just know something. And then we all have clairvoyance, which is clear seeing or clear viewing, and that's using our third
Okay.
eye.
Okay. Interesting. How does one begin the process of learning how to use these other senses?
Well, I've written 3 books now, and they all have the same directions on how to use these
Hmm.
abilities. My first book is The Cowgirl Shaman Way 7 Easy Steps to Develop Your Intuitive Ability. And that one teaches you how to do everything that I do. The second book is Intuitive Communication. This book is targeted to first responders, medical personnel, and caregivers. And it's intuitive communication, communicating with those who cannot. And it's for people in a coma, persistent vegetative state, with severe Alzheimer's, dementia, traumatic brain injuries, anybody who cannot communicate. And then my third book, which just came out, which I'm really excited about, is called The Physics of Mediumship. And it really debunks a lot of the woo-woo stuff about mediumship and communicating with the deceased by basing it in physics.
Okay. Yeah, I like the woo-woo. Uh, I think that's a great way to describe it. Um, and all. Yeah. So yeah, I went to your website, terrijay.com. That's Terri with an I, and see you have quite a bit on there. Um, yeah.
Well, I do offer readings, and I'm very inexpensive. I've been told I'm only 50 and 90 for a half hour, and there's no limit to the number of subjects that we can do in any one session. So I just love doing it. I love doing readings, and it's so neat that I get to do them all over the world, and to do all kinds of animals and humans, and connect to people that have passed.
Okay. Um, oh, and it says you do grief counseling.
Yeah, I think one of the best things you can do when you're grieving is to get very specific, detailed messages from either the animals or the humans that have passed. And I joke that my TV show should be called "I Can't Make This Stuff Up," but I would use a different S word, and because the information that I get is so specific to that individual. And it's so bizarre. If you took things just by themselves, they don't apply to just everybody. They're very specific.
Sure. Um, yeah. What are some stories you can tell us about people you've helped?
Just everybody that when they get off the phone with me, they say that they feel so much lighter, and they actually feel happier, and they're just really grateful that I was able to get very, very specific details, from their loved ones who have passed or from their animals. I do a lot of pre-grief counseling when people are trying to make that decision about putting their animal down. The animal's old or infirm, and they just feel like they're murderers when they're not. They're alleviating suffering. And so it's very good to be able to get a feeling about what the animal's pain level is, and what their quality of life is, and then to be able to share that with my clients, and they're always really surprised about the details. So those are some of the things that I can help with, and I do help with when people are stuck. I do relationships, finances, health, pretty much everything.
Wow.
So I really like it.
Okay. Um, Now, something I've always been interested in hearing more about is this energy healing. Now I know you're a medical intuitive and all. What's the process? What happens in that?
Well, it's mostly just getting out of your own way and listening. I was working with a gentleman yesterday, and he just doesn't have a lot of blood,
Okay.
so to speak, and he's got a really low red blood count. And of course, that makes you tired because you're not getting oxygen where you need it in your body. And it was so interesting because I was shown his spleen, and then it was really cute because it was like the spleen was a Pac-Man, and the Pac-Man was just chomping up and eating up all the red blood cells when it shouldn't be, and it was consuming the good red blood cells. Isn't that a silly way of showing it to me? Just to have that little Pac-Man, it was a Pac-Man spleen eating up all the good red blood cells. So this gives them a really good guidance to take to their physician then, and to do all the testing they possibly can on the spleen itself. So I thought that was really interesting because this poor guy has suffered with this his whole life, And the interesting thing too is, the bone marrow makes
Right.
blood cells, and the bone marrow looked like fountains that they were just spewing out all these wonderful red blood cells. But then you had the Pac-Man spleen, just chomping all of them down. It was so bizarre. So they'll be able to take that information that, their bone marrow is doing great. It's putting out, it's developing red blood cells. But for some reason, the spleen is being naughty and not doing its job. So it's fun how you get that stuff, and I've been able to help people even heal from cancer. We just don't get this, Bill, that we're 99% energy and only 1% physical. And yet, all of allopathic medicine, which is basically drugs and surgery, it focuses on just the 1%. And I'm just incredulous about that. Why isn't energy healing our first go-to? And diseases, issues in the tissues. So if we find these stuck negative emotions and deal with them, then we can potentially heal ourselves. Now, I'm not throwing the baby out the window with the dirty bathwater. Do we need allopathic medicine? Oh my goodness, yes. It has tremendous benefits, but it's still missing the whole energetic body, which is 99% of our makeup. So I think it's really important for people to realize that they have issues in the tissues. And energy healing can be done by yourself for yourself. And I'm sort of anti laying on of hands for that reason, because most people are disempowered because of things that have gone on in their past. People have taken their power. And if they can get their power back through, writing letters to those that have hurt them and burning it, taking their power back, saying nobody's ever going to treat me like that again, those simple things allow you to take your power back. But finding the stuck negative emotions and learning to release them through simple visualization with intention is just incredible. And, I've had clients that have had miracles, being given 6 months to live, and here they are 15 years later, and they've never been sick, and they're fine. So I've had a lot of miracles like that happen with my clients, and I just really love being able to help in that way.
Sure. I can imagine it's got to be very fulfilling to be able to help people like that. Let's see. Here's one of the ones that as I was reading through your website, of course, I always look for things that apply to me. Um, let's see. You mentioned that we often have core beliefs that prevent us from losing weight. How does that work?
Well, I've seen this a lot with people, and it doesn't necessarily apply to you, but a lot of times, I think it's like 70% of women and 50% of men at some point in their life are molested. So a perpetrator will always tell you it's your fault. I remember hearing this as a toddler, that I was just too sexy, which is total
Right.
BS. And so what happens is we put on padding and protection in the hopes of not being sexy. Do you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of reasons why we put on weight and hold it, but it's quite often padding and protection. And we don't feel safe without that padding and protection. We somehow have this false sense that it protects us, and it doesn't. It doesn't
Right.
at all. I think it actually makes us more vulnerable, especially
Sure.
health-wise.
Sure. Yeah, I know I've got a lot of health issues that I'm putting off that thank God I don't have to worry about yet. But I'm like, if I don't lose the weight, then I'm going to at some point. I know
Right. It's
diabetes
like,
and heart disease and all that
right.
stuff's in my future if I don't do something.
Right. Diabetes, I always think of as die a bit
Yeah.
at a time, right? Because you just start losing body parts and losing function in your body, and it just sort of kills you slowly. And what I have found is that that is usually caused by third chakra issues, which is the solar plexus, and it's from feeling disempowered. The issues with the solar plexus are power, ego, and control. And so if we feel like we don't have control, or we don't have power, or we feel that we have a terrible self-esteem and terrible ego, then those are the things that end up causing us problems in our third chakra. And so that would be pancreas, stomach, um, um, diaphragm, things in that area. And so getting your power back, self-love is really huge impact for third chakra. So what I notice is that if our third chakra is like all pooched out, like we're trying to gain power, like from someone else or somewhere else, that if we recognize that and we just go forward with our heart, with unconditional love, it's like the third chakra will suck right back in. It's amazing.
Interesting. What are ways to get that that going, like the self love and stuff that you're talking about? What are some good methods to start?
Well, we have to we have to remember that we are God or source energy in a physical form. We're the same energy as God. And there's too many religions that teach us we're conceived in sin and born in sin, and then we're sent away from God, as a punishment, and that we have to work our way back to God and be in God's good graces. Otherwise, we won't go to heaven. And all of that is just not true. None of that is true. We are the same energy as our source. And if you think about it down to the cellular level, we all have mitosis in our cells. Well, mitosis is the creation of energy. Well, if we're creating energy in all of our cells, we're the creator. So each one of us is God, but only for ourselves. We are not separate from our source. So when we realize that we're source energy and that we're not going to be judged, and that we're here to make mistakes, learn from it, and go make new mistakes, and that we're a spiritual being having a human experience, then we can take away all of those preconceived notions about what constitutes lovable. And we can just choose to love ourselves for no reason other than we are love energy. And I think that could really help. People don't realize that choosing to love yourself is just a choice, like a light switch. You can just flip that light switch and choose to love yourself for no reason. And it takes 21 days to change your mind.
I've heard that before.
So it's just a matter of working on it and catching yourself when you have those negative self-deprecating thoughts. And it can really make a huge difference. And I worked at it. I didn't love myself when I started doing this work, and I felt judged. And little by little, I got to where I just think I'm neater than sliced bread. I just love myself and I love my life. But I've made it so. I haven't relied on someone else to acknowledge the fact that I'm lovable. So it's a really interesting process if we can choose to go through that.
How does that relate to loving others? Because I know a lot of issues can be helped with relationships and whatnot. Not that they're the basis of things like self-love, that but that they can add to the love in our lives. Like the Beatles saying, the love you what is it? The love you take is equal to the love you make.
Right. It's very true. I've worked with people that said, "Oh, I just can't love myself," and then I turn it around and I say, "Well, give me a number between 1 and 10 that you think you love yourself," and they'll go, "Oh, 4," and they go, "So how much do you love your husband?" "Oh, I love him a 10." No, you don't. You can only love him a 4 because that's all you've got in your cup.
Okay.
You filled your cup to 4, not 10. So they and I go, "Now you're cheating your husband out of love because you don't love yourself a 10." And then it really shakes them. It's like, oh my goodness, I better change things. So if we choose to love ourselves a 10, then we have a 10 to give to anyone else.
Okay.
So it's really important to choose to love yourself, because otherwise it limits what you have for other people.
Sure. Let's see. What else? I really want to hear more about the horses.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm definitely a halflinger addict. Halflinger is the breed of horses that we have, and they're draft pony. They're short and wide, just like me. So it's perfect suitability of horse to rider. So we have some really crazy horses. Um, we have one that picks her bucket up and hands it to you when she's through eating. And she also gives facials. She thinks it's kisses, but it's a full facial. And she also does zippers on your jacket and does the Velcro on your sleeves and gloves. She's hilarious.
That's funny.
And then we have another one that bows.
Okay.
And then we have the third one eats. That's what she does. That's her trick. She eats. But they're really fun, and they're such characters. It's really nice to be able to do the animal communication with them too, because it just, if you're going to do something with them, you can get across what's going on, how long it's going to take, on a feeling level. And it just makes them so confident and comfortable, to be with you and do whatever you want them to do. It's really fun.
What are some of the issues you come across with animals that are pretty common that people don't realize?
Oh God, pain.
Really?
Bill, pain. Oh my goodness. Especially with horses, I specialize in horses, and I have a lot of clients that are professional barrel racers. And we would all be shocked at the amount of pain that they can be in and still function. They're not designed by nature to run, or they're only designed by nature to graze and run from predators. That's it. And so when we ride them and we ask them to do all these crazy things, which they do love. You can't make a horse do something that it doesn't want to do. It's amazing how much they can be in and still function. So horses have to have regular chiropractic, and the faster they're going, the more turning they're doing, the more athletic they're being asked to be, the more they need regular chiropractic. And then my favorite for soft tissue is called AccuScope, and it's microcurrent therapy. And it actually heals the soft tissue and takes the pain away. So the combination of those two is just so important for horses. And that's usually what I find when I do animal communication with them. And a lot of small dogs, you might be shocked at this, but a lot of small dogs are being picked up wrong. People have the dog face them and they pick them up under the front legs, and the hind end is just dangling. Well, that can cause all kinds of spine issues. They can get disc bulge and herniated discs, and just have all kinds of pain issues in their low back. This is especially true with long-bodied dogs like the Dachshunds and the Shih Tzus. They have long bodies. You always want to make sure you pick them up under the chest and under the butt. And then hold them to you. Too often people put their dog on their hip, and the dog's always scrambling with those hind feet trying to get a purchase. And it's very uncomfortable for them. So I tell people, if you've got a small dog, get a carrier. Put it in the carrier. That way they can stand on all 4 feet, and they can sit comfortably without worrying about feeling like they're going to be dropped or fall. And so it's amazing. Just even picking up a dog wrong can cause excruciating pain for them.
Wow. Yeah, I know. Even when I've had older animals, that they don't seem to, even though I know they must be in pain because of I mean, everybody has aches and pains when they get older.
Sure.
But they never seem to react to it. Is there a reason why they hold it in so well? or how they hold it in so well?
I think they don't know they can have relief. I mean, truthfully, they just sort of cowboy up. And so I think it's really important when we get older dogs that we give them pain relief. One of the safest and best ones I found is CDB, CDB oil, and just a drop on a dog treat, and it can make a huge difference depending on which one
Right.
you have. I can tell with my little dog, she's 15 and a half now, and she's got two dog beds. One's under my desk and the other's off to the side. And when she's going from bed to bed, trying to get comfortable, I immediately know, without even being intuitive, I know if she can't get comfortable, she's in pain. And that's when I'll, take out the CDB and give it to
Interesting.
her. But dogs put up with a lot of pain, and people just think they're old. No, they're in pain. And so I think it's really important for them to have regular chiropractic too, and then find some sort of healing modality. I've seen a huge difference in my little dog with massage. She gets a massage every 3 weeks, and it makes a huge difference in her. She feels so much better. She's 15 and a half, and she's still out there every morning when we go out to do chores with the horses. She's out there running around and screaming at everybody, bossing everybody around. And so it's good to see that when you see an older dog and people go, "Oh, how old's your puppy?" And you go, 15 and a half. And they're like, "No, it can't be. It can't be, because she's racing around like an idiot." So she gets joint supplements, the glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, and hyaluronic acid. She gets a supplement that has all that in it. And then she gets her massages, and she gets regular chiropractic adjustments. So, you got to take good care of them. You really do.
I have a dog. She's well, we have two dogs. My roommate and I. They're technically his dogs, but they've adopted me, so they're our dogs for some reason. As weird as that sounds, but
no, dogs pick humans. Dogs will pick humans. We took in a 13-year-old dog that it was a long story, but it was belonged to a friend of mine, and she was going to prison for a fatal DUI, and so I wouldn't give the dog back. And he picked our roommate, and that was his human. I was second choice, and then my husband was third choice. So, but he picked him, and he was with him all the time. So it was really interesting to watch. And I used to joke and say, "Well, he's going to whoever's most needy." That's what I used to joke about, because he thought he was like doing healing work on humans. So it was really cute.
That's funny. Yeah, my the girl dog, she's stuck in puppy mode. Even though she's about 8, I think.
Oh, wow.
7 or 8. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But she still acts like a little puppy. She throws her treats around and chases after them, playing catch with herself. And she won't play with people to do that. If I try throwing a treat to her, she won't run and get it and bring it back or anything. She'll stop playing. It's the weirdest thing.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, she likes playing catch with herself, and but she'll jump around and run around and be all excited all the time, and I just say she's stuck in puppy mode.
It's so good. Well, but when you see that stopping is when you have to say, okay, so if it's stopping, we either have a health issue or a pain issue or both. And that's when you have to start taking measures to make them feel better.
Yeah, the boy has started having. He's a couple years older, and he's started having some breathing issues, and he coughs like a goose. It's a strange thing. We've taken him into the vet, and the vet said he has a heart murmur, and that's what's causing him that.
Right. He feels like he's got a collapsed trachea too.
And so we've been working with him on that, but but he's still energetic and runs around and plays. I think he might have some of the stuff you described. I think he might have some pain issues. I'm going to look into getting CBD for dogs, and trying that, seeing if we can get him to work that and see if that helps him out any.
Yeah, they do make specific ones
Yeah.
for pets, so it's really interesting. I wish I had enough time to research more, but I just depend on other people to go, here, take this. And it's like, okay, thanks. Thanks for
Yeah.
that one. How many do I give them? Just give this one 2 drops, that one 1 drop. All right, I can do
Yeah,
that.
giving the right amounts of things is definitely a concern. But yeah, I depend on experts for a lot of things myself,
Oh,
because
sure.
you can't learn everything.
No, no, absolutely not. I mean, when I did that guy the other day about
Hmm.
the spleen problem, the spleen that looks
Yeah.
like a Pac-Man, I just thought, oh, I want to find out what the spleen does. So of course, I got online and went, well, this all makes sense. It all made
Yeah.
sense. So at least they've got something to go on
Yeah.
now.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
And
Um,
it's just funny. It's funny how I'm given stuff
mhm.
sometimes, though. I just think, really? Because it's just bizarre. I mean, I'm shown something, and even when I'm not doing a reading, I get information, which is so
Mm.
bizarre. There was a Kraft macaroni and cheese commercial on, and guidance has like the golden finger poking at the TV, and I went, okay, like pay attention. Okay. So the very next day I was doing a reading, this gal wanted to talk to her boyfriend who
Mhm.
died. And I went, oh, I said, okay, this doesn't make any sense, but he's jumping around the kitchen and he's got a blue box of Kraft macaroni and cheese in each hand. She burst into tears. She said that's all he ever
Wow.
made her. Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? And if I hadn't have been paying attention when that golden finger was poking the TV set, going, hey, pay attention to this, I would have said he's got something in his hand and he's jumping
Mhm.
around. I wouldn't have made the connection.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny. Let's see. I want to
Yeah.
mention your website again, terrijay.com. That's TerriJay.com. That's where you can find things like her personal development and animal services. Terry's also got her books on the site.
Just that
Just the one.
one.
It's just the one book on the site. Okay.
This one is on
Okay.
my website. The
Uh huh.
first one, the Cowgirl Shaman Way. But these two books are on Amazon.
Oh,
This
okay.
one's for communicating with people that can't, and this one is the physics of
Okay.
mediumship. This is the most
Right. And
recent
those
one.
are available on Amazon.
So they're
Okay.
all
Oh,
on
they're all on
Amazon. Yeah,
Amazon. Okay. But with
yeah.
on your products page, you can get the ebook bundled with private readings or private training.
Yeah,
Oh,
private
okay.
training. I love to teach people how to do this. It's so
Great.
cool. These aren't gifts. I think it's the most important message I
Hmm.
can relay is these are not gifts. These are abilities that everybody has and that we turn them off in childhood. So in order to start using them again, we just need to learn to turn them back on and listen in a different way.
Okay, that's great. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of awesome stuff on the website, and definitely check it out. And there's a newsletter and ways to contact Terry. So definitely check it out. Um, let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to cover?
Or if people want energy
Hmm.
healing instructions, they just have to email me so that I can
Oh,
send
okay.
them to them. I'm happy to send energy healing instructions to anybody.
Oh, great.
There's
Oh,
no
wow.
charge for them.
It's awfully
And
kind of you.
yeah, and if you want coaching on how to do it for yourself, I'm happy to do that in
Okay.
a session.
Okay, great. Sounds like you keep yourself pretty busy.
Yeah, and right now I'm putting together the pitch for my
Right.
TV show, and I'm in a series that'll be on a streaming network either this fall or right after the first of the year. So I'm really
Cool.
excited
Well,
about that.
we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
No, so definitely check out Terry. Keep an eye out for her on streaming and her TV show. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say to the nice people?
Well, I just really want to encourage people to embrace your own abilities. Like I said, these are not gifts. You're not special, maybe short bus special, but anybody can learn to use their abilities unless you have severe cognitive issues. Anybody can learn to do this. And I really encourage you to do it because it really makes for a happier, healthier, more abundant life.
Definitely want to have that for people. And all. So there is a question I ask of all of my guests, regardless of how serious the discussion may have gotten. Um, consider a hot dog in a bun. Is it a sandwich?
Yes.
Okay. That was rather matter of fact.
Yep. That's a sandwich. If it's got bread around it,
Okay.
it's a sandwich. Make sure it's
Okay.
kosher. Make sure it's Nathan's or Hebrew National. Those are the only good kinds.
Okay, Nathan's and Hebrew National. That's it.
Yeah, those are the best. Yeah, those are the best.
New York for hot dogs.
Well, yeah. Nathan's is New York. Hebrew National.
National, yeah.
Everywhere, but yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It was great. You did good questions.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, so that's about it. Then I will run the ending credits and conclude the show.
All righty.
All
righty. So much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great one. Go eat something now.
You too. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank my producer, my dear mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host, Bill Hatch III. I'd like to thank my special guest, Terri Jay, once again. Please go on to Patreon if you're so led to support the show. You can find us as Bald Spots Pro. And then don't miss YWL Online, normally on Tuesdays and Saturdays, or when new episodes come out. You can find it on Facebook and wherever fine podcasts are served. Tune in again for, oh wow, it went too fast. I forgot who's on. Who's on tonight? Let's see, who's on tonight? On the regular Thursday night mini roundtable. Lillian Brummett. Oh yeah, that's right. Lillian Brummett and Jasmine Deanne Andrews. Please like, comment, and share to stay informed and kick that algorithm into gear. Follow and what all else. And that's it. So thanks again and have a wonderful one ever.